Happy November, Alan.
Happy November.
I see the Halloween hangover is real for you.
What do you mean?
Oh, maybe not. Maybe this is normal. Maybe this is your new normal look.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, this is my everyday
That's good.
attire.
You look great. You look great. If you're not watching on YouTube, Tyler is dressed today. Alan Jackson is with me today, special guest. Doing our round table today. We'll see what Alan knows about the fitness and health space today.
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to be able to take you serious today, but appreciate you providing this distraction. It's great.
I don't understand what the distraction is. This
Maybe
feel like
the-
this is really truly me.
The long flowing well, okay, you're right. I'm being a bigot. I'm assuming something about you that's not true, which is that you're normally a clean cut, shaven individual. Yeah. So I apologize for assuming.
See, Tiffany's been
your look.
begging for the womb broom for a long time.
The womb broom.
And finally I gave in and I was like, all right, you can have a mustache.
Your hair grows oddly fast.
Yeah, that's
a special talent
one
you have.
of those talents. We're gonna obviously get to that, but there is a supplement you can take for that. And doing it,
dude.
So it's a collagen supplement, and it just helps.
When I was in college, I wanted to grow my hair out, and there was this horse mane and tail shampoo.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever do that?
I used it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I used it too. They said it could grow your hair faster. I don't know what the. I didn't notice the difference, but I used it.
What we would believe from marketing, right?
Yeah. Speaking of health and fitness marketing, yeah, exactly.
There we go.
Well, we're going to announce at the end of our episode today, we have a winner for our October giveaway.
Yes.
And if you didn't know, this beautiful, delicious Jocko Discipline Go drink that I'm sipping on right now, we had a contest in October. And it was a review contest. If you left us a review, we asked you to screenshot it, shoot us a DM, and we would pick a random winner and send them a variety pack of Jocko Discipline Go. And we have our winner today. And I'll announce that here at the end of the episode. But it is November.
Yeah.
And I want to make the argument before we get to our main topic today that November was already, in my opinion, the best month of the year. I love November for a variety of reasons. I would argue this is the greatest November in the history of Novembers.
Ooh.
Bold statement?
That's super bold.
Let me elaborate.
Please.
In the sports world, which is where I live a lot of my life and a lot of my hobbies and interests are in the sports world, you've got football in full swing.
Yep.
You've got baseball World Series going on right now, which, whether you're a baseball fan or not, World Series is exciting. Basketball, which I'm not a basketball fan, but it's starting up. It's getting going. And then the greatest sporting event known to man, the World Cup, is this November, which is rare because usually the World Cup is in the summer.
Yeah.
But they're hosting it in Qatar this year. And Qatar is like 150 degrees in the summer, so they literally couldn't do it. So now that it's 105 in November, they'll be doing. In fact, Brazil plays this Thanksgiving Day, which, like I said, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday of the year.
Yeah.
And Brazil playing on, it just amplifies. So that's in the sports world. So, and then November's Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday.
Yeah, it's arguably, at least where we live in, southern United States, Southwest, Texas, whatever you classify it as, is arguably the best weather month.
That's what I was going to get to next.
Yeah.
Like today, when we're recording this, it is 73, no wind, completely sunny. It's like Southern California right now. Well, and you only get that about a month out of the year. Sometimes it's October. Most of the time, though, it's around this November time.
You've got April, but usually it's raining, right? But if you catch between April or May is usually nice months, but November is always golden.
So just another reason. And then another reason in the political world, we get to vote out corrupt, lying politicians and replace them with more corrupt, lying politicians.
I was like, where's he
this
going
November?
This?
So that's great,
what side are you taking today, Ben?
Either side. We're screwed either way, but at least we get to make a change.
That's right.
Here this month. Yeah. So a lot of good things going on this month.
And the number one reason November is the best.
I'm glad you said this. Go for it.
Is the year of the birth of our
Tyler
podcast
Klutz.
host.
Okay, I was going to go a different direction, but there we go. The 7th, right?
9th.
November 9th.
9th, yeah.
Is
yeah,
Tyler
yeah.
Klutz. Which
So-
leads to the other big event happening this month that I was going to tell you about,
Also the best.
which we've been announcing
Ever.
for about 6 months now, it seems
Yeah,
like.
come on.
Choctaw Casino and Resort. Tyler, myself, and Darren will be there. Cowboys play the Green Bay Packers. Will be there at the League, which is their sports bar.
Yep.
So come see us. Come wish Tyler happy birthday. Buy him a happy birthday burger,
Come on.
drink, whatever, and come hang out with us. It's going to be a great
gonna
time.
Great time.
The League is a great time. Whether you like sports or not, the League is just a great place to be.
I'm gonna admit it's been 2 or 3 months since I've been up to Choctaw, and I cannot wait to get back.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's just been a really busy fall, but I cannot wait to get back up there.
I
I'm excited.
totally agree. It's been a little bit since I've been as well. So need to get back on those concerts. They're always having good concerts up there.
Yes, I know my daughter's been killing me. Hunter Hayes is going up there. I think he's playing on New Year's.
Okay.
And she's been on me about it. And I'm
He
like,
he had
I keep deflected.
wasn't he the one that sang "Wanted"? That famous song like 10 years ago.
So there's
Hunter Hayes. Maybe it was a different.
So
guy.
there's a couple. I get these. There's 2 of them that I get confused. But anyways, I think this is the one that sings.
I could see this guy I'm thinking of. I could see him
the
appealing.
one that's
to,
like a little kid, right?
Yeah,
is
I
who
could
you're
see
thinking
him
of. That's who I'm
appealing
thinking
to-
of.
to the younger crowd.
But there's another guy that it's not. Now, who is that? That's
that sings the song I'm thinking of.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I know Hunter Hayes.
Yeah. No, I think it is.
Do you know
Yeah,
Hunter
that's
Hayes,
the
Scott?
one-
Okay.
It's the one that was like kind of the kid country singer, right? He was like a younger guy. Hold on. There's another one. Anyways, she wants to go see that.
When is he playing?
Concerts everywhere. January 1st. I think
Nice.
it's New Year's Day.
Nice. You better get your ticket now.
I know.
Yeah.
We'll
Anyway,
see.
so we'll be up there November 13th. Come check us out. Just another reason. So, did I make a good argument that this could be the greatest November in the history
Honestly,
of Novembers?
hey, you know what? I mean, it's going to be hard to compete with it.
That's what I'm saying.
Trying to think of any other.
What's your favorite month of the year?
I mean, partial to November,
Okay.
obviously. I do really like June,
Okay.
because June is like when you really. Let me back up.
Summer swing.
Yeah, it's like you
full
get into
effect.
summer. It's like kids are out of school. Like there's just an energy about June that's just
Yeah.
different.
Yep.
That I
like
really
June.
Like. Yeah.
It's a little, yeah, but like I said, I'm more of a fall guy.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So anyway, exciting month ahead. Today, wanted to talk a little bit about training phases over your lifetime. And what I was sitting here thinking was, if I could go back with the knowledge I have now and start my training life over, what would I have focused on each? I broke it out into decades. So each decade of my training life, what would I have put focus on, and what will I put focus on? And I will do this going into the future. But then I think about my kids. You know, my oldest is 5. He's actually, I have a garage gym. I've never once asked him to go out there and work out with me. We did another workout yesterday. He's begged me every single time. And it's simple stuff.
Yeah.
Push-ups, jumps, sprint down to the neighbor's house and back, stuff like that. So we're not like
Right.
we're not barbell squatting or anything.
Yeah.
But it's fun that he's excited about it. And like I said, I've never forced it on him. He just wants to get out there and get after it. And again, it's never been a fight. It's never been a struggle. But I'm thinking about his training life and how it's going to look. And again, this isn't hard and fast, black and white. This is more just kind of a guide that I thought about. If I was looking for longevity over a lifetime, take sports out of it. I mean, sports can play a part here, but taking sports out of it for your average person, what should they focus on each decade of their training life? So I started as a 10-year-old. To me, that's a great age to get in there, get going on the foundational principles of training, get introduced to it. Again, my 5-year-old's already been introduced, but that's not most kids. So from 10 to 20, and I broke it down, like I said, from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and so on. The number one priority to me from that decade of time, that decade of training, is mastering foundational movement patterns. And those are your squat, your hinge, your lunge, your overhead pushing and pulling, your horizontal pushing and pulling, and then your loaded carries. So to me, that decade of your training life, that should be your number one priority.
Yeah, I
movement
think,
quality.
Yeah, I think the challenge with that 10 to 20, right? I think everything else you can do 20 to 30, you can break up. There's so many fundamental and paramount phases within that 10 years. Mm-hmm. Like I totally agree with you. I think those are the most important things. But like you got baby giraffes from 10 to 13 as they're
right.
going through puberty. If we're just speaking about boys, but even girls, right? Like that's when girls are going through it as well. So there's like awkwardness, there's lack of coordination, there's hand-eye coordination that's still developing. There's a ton that's going on in that like early part of that decade. And then, then you say 14 to 18, right? That's like a massive, massive growth strength like period. Like the amount of strength and weight that I put on from like 14 to 18 was crazy.
Yeah.
Right. And then, the end of that decade, it's like, now it's really refining like the strength and stuff like that. It's a little more specific. So it's hard, right, when you're just saying, hey, decade wide. I think that's exactly it. But even there's nuances within that. And obviously we're trying to keep it broad. But
and the nuances and the secondary priorities I wrote down: strength, muscle, cardio base, athleticism, etc. To me, though, as a new trainee, I can get really jacked and really strong on the very basics.
Yeah.
And if I try to go too far, too fast,
yes.
add too much too fast, I'm screwing up years down the road.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. There is a big jump from 14 to 18. Your testosterone, you're going through puberty. Yeah. The great thing about that phase, though, is you can be an absolute moron and still put on size and strength.
And
so to me, if that was
my buddies in high school and me in high school, absolute morons.
Yeah. So to me, if you can master those foundational movements and get really strong, really good at performing squats, hinges, lunges, I don't have to add a lot of extra stuff during that phase. I'm going to get big and strong.
Yeah.
Doing those foundational movements.
But even to back up, like on the early part of that decade, the movements is what's most important, not the weight, the movements of it. And then the foundation behind it. So to me, if you've got, a 10 to 12-year-old, focus has got to be on core strength and stability. Like, and when I say core, it's like below the chest and like above the quads. Like if you're looking at that core section of strength, so that includes glutes, that includes hip flexors, that includes your actual abdominals, that includes lower back, that includes your, piriformis, that includes like the whole muscle system, like that's in the middle of your body, right? That's the foundation that everything works off of. Especially at this age, you're going to be doing a lot of running. Most sports include running or involve running. I mean, that's a big part of it. And running is built off of that core. Everything is pushing off of your core. So focusing on building strength in your core. And then one thing that I didn't do much of, you just kind of naturally are more nimble, but like really focusing on flexibility and working on that at that age to build the basis of it. Yes, like strength needs to be a part of it, but if from 10 to say 14, if you can build strong core, get really fundamental with movements and learning the right movements, learning the right way to squat, learning the right way to deadlift, learning the right way to press, whether it's overhead or chest press. Those are really important, doing it the right way so that you're not creating habits, not creating deficiencies in movements when you're getting older, when you can actually start to add some strength to it, like in some weight, that you're doing it the right way.
Yeah, and I remember thinking back, when I was, there's a lot of ego lifting as a kid. You want to compare with your friends.
Oh yeah.
The great thing about being a kid is, as you said, you are pliable, you are more flexible typically, and so working through that full range of motion, even if you have to back off weight a little bit, if you can work on full range of motion, get really strong through all ranges, it's just gonna. And again, I know that's a hard concept to grasp at 14 when your buddy's bench pressing 135 pounds. But if you can be patient, or you can have a guide or a coach that can preach patience to you, which again, I know in sports, there's a whole discussion about who's leading those programs. It's some
Anyways,
if somehow you can have the patience and the wherewithal at that time to be able to really focus on full range of motion, because that's going to keep your flexibility, but it's also going to allow you to add strength on top of good movement.
Exactly. And it's stuff that like we are now thinking of. Like I wish that I'd have done like ankle mobility.
Yeah.
You know, like something that you really just don't think of at that age. And I get it, and it's hard, and I was the same way, but even my 8-year-old, every once in a while they'll come to the gym with me, and my 10-year-old, she's just like physically a whole lot stronger than he is. And so, but we were working on deadlift, we were working on a couple things, a couple movements, and he wanted to do the bar and he wanted to add weights, and I was like, listen, no. You need to be on a PVC pipe. You need to learn the movements. You need to learn like actually how to do it the right way. And I said, and I gave an example, and here's kind of for everybody. If say you're, you know, an adolescent listening to this, or, you know, maybe you're, 10 to 15 in college at 18 and 19 years old, in order to lift the right way, I spent 6 weeks in college when performance was everything. I spent 6 weeks with a PVC pipe before I was ever allowed to use an actual barbell, put weights on it. 6 weeks to learn the movements with a PVC pipe before I was actually allowed to lift weights. Yeah. So if an 18-year-old Division I athlete, if a PVC pipe is good enough for them, at 10 years old, a PVC pipe is good enough for you. Yep. I promise you. Learning the movements, learning the technique is so much more important. And look, you can get stronger, and you're going to build muscle, and you're going to do all those things, but you don't have to go and try to follow what you see on YouTube, or what you see your parents do, or what you see your older brother do. Like, learn it the right way, because yes, it's like the bell curve, right? You're going to literally, it's going to be a little bit slower, but when you start to climb, you're going to climb so much faster than everybody else around you.
If somehow you can have the patience to realize this is, and you've said this before, this is a lifetime.
Yeah.
So what am I doing today that's going to set me up for a lifetime? All parents, all people who have kids that are training, you should be following on Instagram. His name is Joey Burgles, Bergles. He is the strength and conditioning coach at Tech. But he has tons of clips and videos on his Instagram page of training middle school athletes and how he trains them, and exactly what you're talking about. He starts with the fundamental basics, very foundational principles and workouts. He is an awesome follow if you have young kids, especially young athletes. And again, he's at Joey Burgles, JoeyBergles. I would highly recommend.
It's building movements that translate to athleticism. So jumping, change of direction, body weight, controlling your body weight movements. Hills, like if you do incline runs, like these are all things that, yes, like you don't have a bar on your back or you're not pushing dumbbells, but like these will translate to actual muscle growth at this age.
Right. So that's how I would start, and that's how I will start my boys on their training ages. Fundamentals those first 10 years, because you're going to get big and strong and pretty much do anything. So you might as well get big and strong and doing the fundamentals. 20 to 30. This is your peak testosterone age.
This is Instagram influencer window.
This is whenever you're just freaking steroided up without the steroids.
Getting tan and jacked.
Exactly. And so to me, we know, we've had former guests on, there's just so much data out there about muscle mass and its correlation to overall health. Doesn't mean you're a meathead if you want to go after muscle. Now, you can take it too far. But to me, that next phase, that next 10-year decade of training, that should be your number one priority, is building as much muscle and strength as you possibly can. Again, everything's ripe in your life for this decade.
Yes.
You probably don't have, you might have kids, but you probably don't have a whole lot of life stress. You're probably getting good sleep. You're probably able to control your nutrition for the most part. There's just a lot less, I think back on my 20s and the stresses I had then versus what I have now. It is a prime age. And again, your hormones are the best at this time. Everything's in peak condition to be able to put on size and strength. And so to me, and guess what? I didn't say 20 to 22 or 20 to 24, 20 to 30. use 10 years. Building muscle is a long process, and the more time you give yourself, the better. So to me, I would use every bit of that 10 years to see how much. Now, again, I don't want to be so bulky that I can't move. I'm not saying that. I still want to be, and that's where the secondary priorities to me, building up your cardio base, maintaining your athleticism, your movement quality, et cetera. But to me, the main goal would be, how can I get as much muscle and as much strength on these good quality movements as possible?
Yeah. Because, like you said, the stresses, the obligations are, I would argue for the most part, like you said, are less than maybe 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
So build that base, because then when you do get into your 30s, then you are on a different, I'm sure you're going to talk about it, but different program from a maintenance standpoint, right? Because building muscle is a challenge.
It takes a lot of volume, meaning a lot of reps and sets.
And it takes a lot of
volume.
volume.
Takes a lot of time.
When it comes to food.
When it comes to food, takes a lot of volume because of food. Takes a lot of good recovery, lots of sleep at night. 8-10 hours of sleep at night. Takes a lot of, it just takes a lot of energy and effort. And that's, I'm looking at my life. My life was much more conducive to that in my 20s.
And like you said, from the hormone perspective and testosterone, your ability to recover is just much higher. Trust me. Now, this is anecdotal, and so there's not any science, but I'm telling you, when you get into your mid-30s, recovery changes. It's just different. I'm like, from experience, hear me when I say it, it's just different. And I think anybody over 35 can probably back me up on that, but take advantage and break down those muscles, tear them down, because your recovery will be so much faster. Again, do it smart. When I say tear them down, I mean, put stress on your muscles, right, when you're training. Because, again, build that foundation so that the maintenance thereafter is just going to be so much easier.
That's right. And so now that you've spent those 10 years just putting on muscle and you're freaking jacked and tan, 30 to 40, now we can shift in a little bit more of a maintenance mode. And so to me, the number one priority during this decade, and again, I've fought against this my first 5 years. I'm 35 now. I've tried to fight against this a little bit, but I'm realizing not only is our testosterone's lower, not only is testosterone lower every age after 30, or every year after 30. I've got 2 kids now, a third on the way. My sleep is horrible at this phase of my life. Work stresses are crazy. My nutrition isn't the greatest. And again, I'm just speaking for me. This is not exactly the prime time for me to try to put on muscle. The work, the hay's in the barn, as they say, Alan Jackson. The hay's in the barn. The muscle that I have is probably the more. Now, again, can you put on muscle in your 30s? Absolutely. Me personally, my life stress, everything going on right now, it's not realistic at this moment to be thinking I'm going to go put on 5-10 pounds of muscle during this next 5 years. That's just not possible for me. So for me, the work's already been done. Now it's about muscle preservation. And it takes a lot less volume, a lot less time, a lot less recovery, a lot less food, a lot less everything to maintain muscle as it did to try to build it. So in your 30s, maintain that muscle that you worked all those 10 years for, that you worked so hard for. Again, it doesn't mean you can't build. It's just your average person. I'm talking to the average person. So that's what I would focus on, is muscle maintenance and strength maintenance. But now I'm also going to focus and shift my focus on cardio. And improving my cardiovascular fitness. I didn't do a lot of this. I did enough cardio to get me by in sports. And then in my 20s, I didn't do a lot of cardio. But now I'm starting to see just how beneficial it is for the long term. For a long, healthy life, and all the studies that came out that are out there about cardiovascular fitness. And so to me, those are my two main focuses this next 5 years. Is
still a supplement to resistance training. Right. I still fully agree that there needs to be a form of resistance training.
There will always be a form of resistance training.
But I think everyone should understand that, especially if you are in your 30s or even 40s, there needs to be resistance training, because when cardio is your only form of exercise, if
you get skinny fat.
I was going to say, if longevity, right, and overall health is your goal, just make sure that you're aware of what happens with just extended amounts of cardio, and that's your only form of exercise. Look, if it's sit and watch TV or go for a run, go for a run. 1,000,000%.
Agreed.
But if you have the ability to add in resistance training to replace, repair, grow muscle mass, it needs to be there because, again, just overall health, all the science points there. Metabolism, fastest on resistance training. Like that's when it's at its peak.
Bone density.
Just overall health, like immune system,
Yep.
overall health. We've talked about this on previous episodes. So there's so many things that are important about. But cardio, if there's ways, and I mean, there's so many things. There's HIIT classes. There's like with Orange Theory, F45. Like there's all these group classes that you can do that combine both. CrossFit is another one. It combines both. There's all sorts of things that you can do to create a cardiovascular training period and resistance training period. So I would just encourage that. The other thing that I'll say, and I may be beating you by a decade, but in my opinion, 30s, you need to start focusing on mobility and flexibility.
Yeah.
And again, you that may be on your list later, but I'm going to insert my thoughts.
Yeah,
on
I
that.
had that as more of a secondary priority: movement quality, injury prevention.
Yeah.
And when I say secondary, I don't mean it's not important. I just mean it's not the number one.
That's
priority.
not the title of the chapter.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a subtitle.
This is a subtitle.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Because again, yes, continuing to do resistance training, really kind of focusing on harnessing your cardiovascular training, but then mobility, because in the 30s, that's when you're going to start to see injuries from things that you wouldn't get injured at in your 20s and teens.
Yep.
So mobility is big. Ankle mobility, I can't stress it enough. The importance of ankle and wrist mobility. Telling you, like, those are two things that are crucial. It leads to knees, hips, elbows, shoulders. The whole thing like starts at the outer extremity joint. So start with your ankles and wrists, and then work inward.
Yep.
Because those are things that people just overlook. Yeah, everybody thinks, oh, get your hamstrings flexible. Oh, look, I can touch my toes. Yeah, that's one element of it. But what about just like joint mobility?
Yeah.
Like how much movement you have within joints.
Yeah. And again, one of the best things you can do for mobility is working through a full range of motion on your exercises.
Yeah.
So having the mobility, but most people's minds when they think mobility goes first to, getting a band and doing all these stretches. Yeah. How about just going through a full range of motion squat?
Yeah.
And the ankle mobility and the hip mobility that provides. So combine the two. I totally agree with you. 40 to 50. Oh. You're exactly right. To me, the number one priority now at this point is injury prevention and movement quality, and continue with that cardiovascular fitness. So this to me is maybe you're not deadlifting 500 anymore. And again, there's going to be outliers. There's going to be people that can and do, and they're going to be just fine. But for the majority of us, maybe you're not trying to deadlift 500 pounds anymore. Maybe you're now thinking about more movement quality, range of motion, thinking about lateral side-to-side movements, more balance training, single leg type stuff that's going to aid you in your older years.
Yeah.
Again, you've spent, at this point, the first 30 years of your life building your muscle and strength. Now let's maintain that through balance and coordination. For older people, and again, we'll get to this in the 50-plus category, but just being able to stand out of a chair is massive.
Yep.
And the downward trajectory people take when they can no longer get up and even out of a chair is just, it's insane. Yeah. So to me, your 40s and 50s, spend it on injury prevention, movement quality.
So let's just say, you can get out of a chair. What's your thought process at like that 40 to 50? Because we keep saying like 40 to 50 is like, okay, you're on the fringe of being elderly. Like, I mean, I still, like, I've got guys that I train with that are in their 40s that are still squatting over, 450 pounds, that are still doing things. Like, just because you're there doesn't mean that you have to be, okay, now I'm doing my water aerobics classes with my floaties. Yeah. Like, that's not what we're saying. Right. You can still, there's still a ton you can do.
Go get after it.
But I agree, from an injury prevention standpoint, you've got to be very, very conscious of it.
Yeah.
Very careful. That's where we go back to the 10-year-old that's starting to do movements and learning the movements the right way. So you're doing things the right way, so you're not having to learn it. But question for you is, let's just say you're in you've done these things. What is your thought process on like emphasizing single leg, single arm movements from a
in this
balance
phase,
perspective.
in this decade.
Yeah, so like single leg deadlifts or single leg.
Oh yeah,
from
exactly
a balance and stuff like that.
No, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah.
Again, falls are the leading cause of death after a certain age, right? So not leading cause of death, but leading cause of a downgraded life.
Yep.
And no, I totally agree. Like single leg RDLs, single leg squats, lunges, things like that, building up. Because if you're just staying on both feet your entire training life, you're gonna create these imbalances. That's just sitting at your desk all day doing things like that. So to me, single leg.
The single most important thing that I did in my athletic career came when I was 30 years old. I had a hip issue that I could not get rid of. Could not get rid of it. And I saw physical therapists, I saw athletic trainers, I saw doctors, I saw orthopedic surgeons. Couldn't figure out what was going on with my left hip. Like I had like shooting pain anytime I would back squat, anytime I would run, like anytime I'd sprint. The only thing that made it feel better was when I'd literally take like Celebrex anti-inflammatory, which is terrible for your liver.
Right.
And couldn't figure out what it was. And the strength coach at the Cowboys, he was like, I think you need to go really heavy on that leg. And I'm like, what? No, I can't. It hurts. He's like, all these new age doctors, they say stay away from it. Sometimes you're just weak and you just need to attack it. And I literally did. And so what I did is I did single leg squats, and we did it on a Smith machine. So for those of you who don't know what that is, it's the bar that's on the tracks, and then you can kind of rack it, right? And so he had a number of guys doing single leg squats, which is not a Bulgarian. It's where your back leg is essentially suspended. You get down to a point, touch your knee, but there's no push off available. And so I started. So Tyron Smith was doing sets of 8 at like 365.
On one leg?
On one leg.
Jeez.
One leg.
That's crazy.
And here I am. I can barely do 25s. No, 25s on the bar. Wow. On my left hip. And I worked up, and I ended up getting over like 315 for a set of 5 after a year and a half of doing it. Yeah. But hip issue it disappeared. And it disappeared within 6 weeks of doing it.
Yeah.
But again, the focus on, like you said, right, is you have imbalances by doing things with 2 legs, 2 arms at the same time. You need to isolate each side and go through full range of motion.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't squatted both feet in I don't know how long. All of my training.
It's been like 6 months and 3 days. Let me go back to your Instagram.
All of my training now is single leg. Single leg split squats, single leg lunges, things like that.
Yeah.
Single leg RDLs, because I'm mindful of, as I get older, how important that balance training is. And working each side individually. And then lastly, the 50-plus-year-olds, and I just kind of lumped everybody into that same category. Yeah. Once you get to 50,
old heads,
you're pretty much dead.
Yeah. Just a death waiting room.
Yeah, just quit working out at 50. Balance and coordination training. Again, number one focus. Secondary focuses are strength and cardio maintenance. So to me, at this age, you would hate to do something that's going to put you out of the gym for the next 3 weeks. So at this point, it's being smart with your training. It doesn't mean you can't do the cool, fun stuff if you've been building up that base. It just means you got to be a little bit more mindful. Maybe take a little bit of weight off, start being more joint friendly type stuff. But again, reintroduce stuff like, as weird as it sounds, take a tennis ball, bounce it back and forth from one hand to the other. Work on your coordination. Work on your hand-eye coordination. As weird as that sounds, maybe as easy as that sounds in your younger years, as we get older, we lose these things. Throw the ball against the wall and try to catch it. Maybe throw it with your right hand, catch it with your left. Throw it with your left hand, catch it with your right. These things are training your brain as well, challenging your brain in a way that you don't normally.
Yeah, so essentially, let's just say you're 50 years old. And to your point of, like, don't do anything that's not going to let you work out the next day. And I've talked about this, but if you're 50, and let's just say it's like, hey, I want to be active, and I want to be an active 70-year-old. So you got 20 years. If you're really on it, and you're really, you've got essentially 5,000 available workouts over these next 20 years. 5,000 available workouts. What are you going to do today that allows you to reach those 5,000 workouts. Yep. That's saying you do 5 workouts a week, which is a lot. I get it, but potential. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? If you're questioning, if I do this, I may not be able to come back tomorrow. Don't do it. Pass on it at that age, right? Yep. Let the ego go. The ego is for the 20-year-old. Let him do that stuff, or her. But make sure that you're doing things that allow you. Yes, you need to push yourself. Yes, it's still okay to be sore. Yes, it's okay to do those things. But like you said, take the weight down, maybe increase the volume. Do things that are not gonna set you back. Like now it's about progress. Now it's about, continually steady climb. Like that grade up the hill is not as steep as it once was. Just make sure that you're moving forward every day.
Yeah. So there it is. And again, there's nuance to this. There's outliers in this. But just in general, if you want to catch the 60%, the 70%, this is a good guide over a lifetime. If you're thinking about longevity, if you're thinking about training for life, this is what I would stick to. This is what I'm going to keep in mind. Now, again, I'm going to make adjustments and different things for my boys, but this is what I'm going to keep in mind for them when I'm thinking about their training life. So, now to the fun thing that we teased at the beginning, the winner. I know everybody probably just skipped the last 30 minutes because they wanted to find out who this winner was. 100%. So again, we had a contest in October, Jocko Discipline Go giveaway, and it was easy. All you had to do was leave us a review on whatever podcast platform you listen to, take a screenshot, DM us. We had a ton of submissions. And at first, honestly, I was just going to go through and just pick a random one. Yeah. But there was a review that caught my eye, and I think this person deserves the winner. And
so it's a partial.
So this one's a bias. Yeah, it's a bias winner here. It was going to be random, but I just loved his feedback so much that I felt like, all right, we've got to reward good behavior here.
Yeah, but if you had maybe stated that at the beginning, maybe people would have put
maybe they would have
thoughtful.
But hey, you never know. Always be ready. You never know how the contest is going to go. So our winner of our October, and we'll do more giveaways, so don't freak out if you didn't win today. But our winner is Tyler Belay.
Oh, I thought I was going to get a case.
Not Tyler Klutz, Tyler Belay. And Tyler, I want to read his review because it really stuck out to me, and you'll see why. He gave us a 5-star review. Yeah. Appreciate that. And his topic, or his what do you call it? Title. The title of his review: Life-Changing Podcast. That'll perk you up. You hear that? Life-changing podcast. So Tyler said, started listening during COVID when I was 17. Never stopped listening, and now turning 20. I can tell you, listening to these guys and all the people they've had on has changed my life and shaped my mind into the mentality that I have today. From Matt Frazier, Nick Bear, and every episode in between, it never disappoints. The banter at the beginning of the show is also some of the best laughs you'll get. Some people may disagree with you on that, Tyler. Crazy the impact a man can have on someone, and so thankful for what these guys do. I just thought that was... Honestly, I thought all our listeners were in their 30s and 40s, but Tyler here is a young man, 20-year-old, and has been impacted. And, man, I love reading that. That's exactly why we started this podcast, was to hopefully encourage people, especially our younger generation, forward momentum, forward movement, bettering yourself. So, man, Tyler, we so much appreciate it. We appreciate everybody that left a review. But, Tyler, we appreciate your review, man. We'll hook you up on Instagram and get your address and shoot you over a case, a variety pack.
Come on.
Of these Discipline Goes, man. So, appreciate everybody that entered. Again, we'll do more of these in the future, but thank you to everyone that left a review. But even more important than it wasn't about winning some, energy drinks that you can get online. It was more about reaching more people and sharing the show. And that's the stuff that means the most to us, is you guys sharing it. We're growing all the time, and that's because of you guys. And we appreciate you so much for doing that and for helping us out in that way. Tyler, any closing thoughts, any remarks? I'm going to go work on my coordination, balance, and strength because I'm old now and I can't be putting on muscle anymore. So,
yeah, just give up on that. Loose T-shirts from now on. No, I think that was good. That was a good foundation. Yeah.
Made it.
Again, everybody's different. Everybody needs, everybody's unique. So, but I think as a high-level guideline, I couldn't agree more. I would just say if you're out there in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, don't cut yourself short either. Don't just feel like, hey, because I'm this, I therefore am that.
Yeah.
Right. Like create your own journey. Like push yourself as hard as you can, as you know that you're capable of. Because only you are the ones that are going to decide what your limits are. And so
yeah, and none of that. I hope none of that was to imply that you don't work hard after a certain age, because you can work extremely hard focusing on different things.
That's right.
And if you're listening to this, and you're like, man, I'm 45 and I've never worked out.
Yeah.
So what do I do? You're gonna probably still have to start with the foundational movements first if you're wanting to set yourself up for injury-free, pain-free training. But maybe your growth's accelerated at that time since you're a little bit older. You're able to pick up movements a little bit. Maybe you have a background in some athletic and you just got to reawaken that beast. So none of that's to imply that you don't work hard after a certain age. You're gonna still work hard, but it's just differently.
Just know though that working hard also can look like patience. All right, being patient with the process and understanding it and be consistent and not giving up on it. Like you can work extremely hard by moving very slow. So just
the biggest thing you're going to fight in your whole training life is ego.
Yeah.
That's always going to be the big, whether it's ego to beat other people, ego to beat yourself.
Yeah.
You're not fast enough. You're not big enough. You're not strong enough. You don't look a certain way. That's going to be the biggest challenge and the biggest hurdle you're going to overcome. Shut that ego up and train hard. Appreciate you guys. Love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your Wednesday.